Hey y'all, welcome to Art Detective. I'm your host, Semene. Today we're shifting our focus to the land of Mont Blanc and Notre Dame, France. More specifically, we're going to be looking at the work of the great Gustave Moreau. For all of y'all who don't know who that is, our great friend Gustave was born in Paris in 1826 and produced over 15,000 paintings, watercolors, and drawings during his lifetime. He was known especially for his prominent role in the symbolist art movement. Now, this symbol-filled art style came to its head with Jupiter and Semene, which many consider to be one of Gustave's greatest works and the most representative of the brilliance he brought to the French artistic scene. Let's take a look now. Pretty cool. At first glance, it is clear that the main figure of the painting is a presumably male figure sitting on the intricate throne in the center. Now, the female person also draped over his leg is also a focal point. The artist does this by making the male figure significantly larger in scale than any other figure in the drawing, and by making the red tint surrounding his head stand out from the rest of the painting. Furthermore, the female figurine stands out as another point of focal interest since her pale body contrasts with the dark colors of the painting. The entire picture also looks very still, as the figures seem to be frozen in certain positions and there are no signs of movement that were incorporated into the drawing. I also can't help but notice that cylindrical shapes make an appearance quite a bit as well. However, upon closer inspection, we can see that the painting is actually quite intricate. The primary figure in the center of the drawing seems to be looking straight ahead with his eyes wide, clutching a flower in his left hand. He is sitting on a very intricately decorated throne with greenery growing out of it and emerald pillars underneath it. The female figurine on his lap lays adorned in pearl white robes and has blood running from her stomach as she looks upwards. Under her sits a winged person in muted clothes. In the lower half of the painting are many figures, some in blue, brightly colored clothing, all with their heads downcast. The background of the painting reflects 2 or 3 shades of blue and includes many more intricate pillars with thick, lush greenery growing on them. The lowermost part of the painting is a culmination of many dark reddish and blue colors, with some figureheads that have brightly colored rings around their heads. The interesting thing here is that our great friend Gustave has used a dually dull and bright palette in this artwork. The top half of the painting employs the use of a lot of bright greens and blues, as you can see. However, the bottom half of the painting has many dark shades of blue and green in contrast. In this sense, there is a wide range of tonal contrast across the painting. Very light highlights in the faces of the male and female figurines as well as the sky, compared to very dark shadows as the painting gets further away from the main focal point. This wide range of colors also suggests that colors were mixed together in order to create a more rich and vibrant or duller tone of certain color. Hence, it seems that though most of the colors presented here are secondary colors, since the painting is made up of mostly green. But let's move on past just colors and tones. As I mentioned before, curved shapes in the form of cylindrical pillars make quite a lot of cameos. However, they are not the only shapes to make an appearance. The middle section of the painting consists of rectangular straight-edge shapes. But if we look around and we can see around the head of the central figure a lot more rounded shapes. It is this variation of different shapes that puts the painting past being one-dimensional and allows each of the forms to look realistic, or three-dimensional in this case. But I know this painting makes me feel a lot of ways. Mostly shocked out of my socks at how someone could spend 8 years making something this beautifully complex. But more than that, I think our good friend Gustave intended to make the viewer feel a sense of guilt or sadness when viewing this painting. Not only is it purposefully dull in its dark tones across the painting, but the strong blue colors, which are often associated with sadness or melancholy, also pass across the point that something truly striking has happened here. The downcast and saddened expressions of the many winged and seated figures below the central throne of the artwork also contribute to a feeling of sadness and guilt. Another way our good friend Gustave could have expressed this mood was by adding text into the painting that would have built on the intense colors that are already here to move across the point. But I know I had talked about symbolism in the beginning of the episode, so I'll come through on that idea and give you what you want. Now, this painting is packed with symbolism, absolutely packed. But to analyze every figure and small allegory in here would take me a lot more time than we have today. So here's the main points. First of all, this artwork is a visual remix of the famous myth of Jupiter, the Roman god of thunder, and his human priestess, Semene. Upon falling in love with her, Semene automatically becomes pregnant with Jupiter's child. Once Juno, Jupiter's wife, catches wind of this, she tricks Semene into asking Jupiter to reveal his full form to her. The painting itself depicts the moment when Semene meets Jupiter for the first time in his full form, but is struck by one of his thunderstorms. In her final breaths, Jupiter extracts the child from his womb and sews it to his leg. This explains the blood running down Semene's stomach and Jupiter's horrified expression. Below the two central figures are also many prominent figures in Greek and Roman mythology, such as Cupid, the god of love, and the symbols for death and sorrow in Greek culture, which reflect the event that is playing out in the painting. Now, the main themes of this piece center around the ideas of love, death, and sorrow. On that note, I think our good friend Gustave was using the story of Jupiter and Semene as a way to ask us all a question. What would we give for love? Semene, of course, gave for life. But by asking this subtle question and framing it against such a chaotic painting and story, Moreau is showing us a masterclass in painting with purpose. Each and every part of this artwork was intentionally placed in order to exhibit the same three common themes. All in all, Moreau has brilliantly used tonal variation, contrast, and dull colors to create a sense of sadness and mystery in his painting Jupiter and Semene. These elements make the minute details of the painting and facial expressions of the figures stand out, further increasing the effect. The symbolism that also gives the painting many layers behind the pastels serves as an excellent example of the intersection between literature, mythology, and art. There's a lot to learn from artists and artworks like this one. Well, this has been fun, guys. Hope this art analysis was helpful to understanding just a little bit more about Gustave Moreau and his paintings. See you next time on Art Detective. Ciao.